This conference will now be recorded.
All right. So today we are going to discuss about PolyBase implementation. What is a PolyBase? PolyBase is a feature available in the SQL Server, querying the data from external data source into SQL Server. So what I'm trying to do here, I have a SQL Server installed on my machine, and I have a Azure Blob Storage. So this is the SQL Server installed in my local machine, and I have a Azure account. Inside the Azure, I have created a storage account. Under the storage account, we have to create a container, nothing but a blob, and we need to upload some files into a folder, emp folder. Under this folder, I am going to upload emp1.txt file, emp2.txt file, emp3.txt file. Okay, so 3 files I am going to upload over here. I'm going to upload 3 files over here. Then inside this SQL Server, I will create one database. Inside the SQL Server. What are all the softwares required to demonstrate this PolyBase technique is installing the SQL Server, installing the SQL Server Management Studio, and to install a PolyBase along with the SQL Server, you need to install the JRE as well. So what I'm going to do from this SQL Server, I'm trying to query the data what we have uploaded over here. I'm going to query. So this Azure storage account is a external data source to SQL Server, because you have a data in SQL Server table, you are querying that data, that means it's an internal, but the data is in another data source, that is in the Azure storage. So you are querying the data, whatever is stored inside the storage account, that is called external data source. Querying the data from external data source into SQL Server, it is called PolyBase. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to demonstrate this one. To demonstrate, I have a SQL Server installed. I will go over here. I will open the SQL Server Management Studio to connect to the SQL Server. That SQL Server, whatever you have installed along with the PolyBase, should be greater than 2016 version. Because a previous 2016 we don't have this PolyBase feature. The advantage of this PolyBase option is the data will be stored somewhere, but can use that by writing a SQL programming. You can perform some analytics and querying the data, but the data is not storing in SQL Server. It is somewhere, right? We are able to access some other data, but that storage will be in their location only, not in our SQL Server. So to demonstrate this one, first open the SQL Server and try to connect to your PolyBase installed instance SQL Server. Then after go to the Azure account. Under the Azure account, you can able to create a storage account. So meanwhile, I will go to Azure account and I will try to create a storage account. So go to the azure.com. Already we created the free account under the Azure. So by using that free account, you can sign the portal. Click on the portal. So this is my Azure portal, and inside this Azure portal, I'm going to create a storage account. If you want to create a storage account service, go over here and save the storage accounts. Click on the storage accounts. Add a storage account, or in the bottom you can see create a storage account. Already we have discussed about how to create a storage account and what are all the options available. I don't want to discuss again and again. I'm just demonstrating over here how to create a storage account. Storage account is for storing any kind of data in your Azure portal. So for that you need to create the storage account. So click on the resource group. Every resource you need to map to a one resource group. I'm going to create one resource group. Resource group is nothing but your project name, grouping of all your objects. Okay, and what is your storage account name you want to give? I'm going to give it as a e-classes storage. E-classes storage standard and performance account kind replication, and you can leave it as is default values everything. Then simply click on review and create. So it is going to create a storage account over here. Click on the create over here. It will create a storage account. After creating the storage account, then what you need to you have to go to what is the option? You have to go to the blob storage, because the data what we are going to install over what we are going to upload is a text files. So the text kind of files I'm going to keep into a container. Container is nothing but a blob. So I'm going to create a container over here after creating the storage account. Storage account contains 4 different kind of storage modes: blob, table, file share, queues. But we are going to use the blob storage to upload the files and storing over there. So to upload the file, first you need to create a container, nothing but a blob. So once your storage account is created, see here, go to the resource whatever the storage account you created. Then after create a container. See, there are 4 kind of storage modes: containers, file shares, tables, and queues. I'm going to click on the containers to create this one. Click on the container to create. The container name I'm going to give it as a employee container. Then create it. Under this container I'm going to upload the files inside this container. While you are uploading the files inside this container, you can create a folder as well. How to upload a files? So first I will create 3 files over here in a notepad, text files. So simply go over here. I'm going to enter the employee details like 100, ram, 1000, 200, sham, 2000. This is the one file. Save it. I will give this name as EP1. On the desktop I'm going to save these files. The name of the file is emp1.txt file, and the second one is 300 Vihan and 4000 and 400 Vikas, and this is 5000. So I have 2 files. As many files we can upload. So I'm going to give this file name as a 2.txt file. You can give any name, no problem. I'm going to give it as a mp2.txt file. Done. So 2 files I have. Those 2 files I want to upload into my blob storage. Either you can perform through portal or you can use a storage explorer to connect to the storage that we discussed in the last sessions. Now what I'm going to upload the files, but before I'm going to upload the files, I'm going to create a folder. How to create a folder? First select these 2 files, emp2 and emp1.txt files. Click open and go to the advanced. There you can see upload to a folder. What is the folder name you want to give? I want to give the folder name as a emp folder. Click upload over here. So all the files will be uploaded. So the setup is ready. The blob storage setup is ready over here. Everything is loaded. Where is the, yeah, I created a storage account. I created a container. The container name is employee container, and I created a folder. Under that folder I uploaded the emp1.txt, emp2.txt. Now coming to the SQL Server. If you want to connect to the SQL Server, you need to go to the SQL Server Management Studio. Under the SQL Server Management Studio, whichever the instance contains PolyBase when you are installing, I have installed this one, PolyBase instant. Okay, so then click over here, then connect. So I'm able to connect to the SQL Server, and there is a PolyBase available, that option. If you haven't installed the PolyBase, this will not be available over here. Okay, so first try to create a database. How to create a database? To create an external table over here, right click on the databases, new database. I will give this database name as a demo database. Give the database name as demo and click OK. What happened? Database name exception occurred. Database demo already existing. Okay, I will give a different name. Demo E classes. Click OK. So to implement a PolyBase, to query the data from these blob storage files, there are 5 steps you need to follow. So the 5 steps, whatever we need to write down, I have written yesterday. So these are the things we have discussed yesterday. To implement a PolyBase, the softwares what you need to install is JRE file and SQL Server with a PolyBase 2017 version, SQL Server Management Studio. All these 3 we have installed. Then after, create a Azure storage account, create a container and create a folder, and then we have uploaded the files. Then open the SQL Server through SQL Server Management Studio, and now you can perform these 5 steps. What are the 5 steps we are going to do over here? Simply go to the new query. Under which database you are going to perform this one, select that database. The database what I'm going to select over here is demo E classes. This is the database I'm going to use. Now simply see, these are the 5 steps I'm going to perform. What is the first step? The first step what I'm going to do here is creating a master key. Okay, so how to create a master key? To create a master key, create master key encryption, ENCRY, encryption by password, and set some password over here. Any password you can set, no problem. Okay, you need one key, encryption key. To process further, you need a key needs to be created in this database. So then simply you can able to execute it. So it is command completed successfully. Then what is the second step you need to do? The second step is whatever the credentials. What do you mean by credential? You have created a storage account, right? How to access this storage account? My storage account name is E classes storage. To access this storage account, you have a access key, and this access key information you need to store inside your. Copy this access key and go over here inside the SQL Server. You need to store. How to store the access key is create stored credential, data source credential, create database source credentials and give some name. The name I'm going to give it as a E classes DB with identity. What do you mean by identity? You require some identity. I'm going to give it as a RAM. And what is the access key? Any name you can give. The access key credential is secret. The secret is, this is the secret key. The access key, whatever you copied, secret. Okay, then try to create this one. I'm just storing this secret key information inside a database with the name e-classes DB. So the syntax error we have written over here. What is the syntax error? Create data source credentials. So stored credential. One second. Okay. Here we are writing some syntax issue. Create data base database scope credential. Okay, this is the syntax you need to create database scope credential and give some name to your credential and the identity. So give some name for identity and the secret key. The main agenda over here is to access your storage account. The key information we need to store into over here. Okay, so simply you can execute this one. So we perform the two steps: creating the database scoped credentials inside the, we are storing the access key of your storage account over here. And the third step is creating a data source. Yeah, go ahead. Any question?
E-classes DB means it's a database, no, Ram? E-class DB means it's a database.
It's any name you can give.
Sorry?
Any name you can give.
Okay, that
Okay,
is the
just,
name.
okay. Yeah, just referring this storage with this name.
Okay.
And because I'm going to use that further in the creation of the external data source, I want to establish a connection to storage account. To establish a connection to the storage account, you need this information whatever you have stored. That simply you can refer with the name whatever you have provided over here. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to create external data source, and give some name to this data source. I'm going to give it as a e-classes ds with open close brackets. Okay, now we need to access your storage account. All right, so to access your storage account, what kind of account it is? So the type you need to specify over here. The type you have to put like a Hadoop. The type you need to put like a Hadoop. The storage account type is a Hadoop data type. Hadoop type of the storage. And location. What do you mean by location? The location is nothing but your storage account and the container. In which container and in which storage account the files are saved, that you need to specify in a specific format of the string. Okay, so how to get that one? Simply go to your storage account under the overview, then you can go to the container whatever you created. So click on these containers and you just see there is an employee container. Come over here and go to the container properties. There you will get that information. So you just copy this information, put like this, but you need to do a small modification first one. The way you need to specify the location is WASBS, WASBS, okay, WASBS semicolon and your container. Remove this HTTPS and your container name. What is your container name? My container name is employee container. So take it from here and keep over here. Container name @ your storage account name. My storage account name is eclassestorage.blob.co.windows.net. So this is how we need to specify. WASBS and your container name and your storage account name, then .blob.co.windows. This is the format of the string you need to specify. To access this string, how are you going to access? By using a access key. Where is the access key? The access key I have stored in the credential like a eclassesdb. Just copy this and put over here. And every time you need to put the comma. Credential equal to eclassesdb. So what is happening here? This eclassesdb already storing the access key. So to connect to this container, this storage account, this access key we are going to use. The security method of connecting to a storage account is by using a access key. That access key already I have stored over there. Now we can create a external data source. Incorrect syntax near Hadoop. Why? Okay, you should not put in single quotes. Remove it. It just simply Hadoop, that's all. Alright, perfect. So once you are creating the external data source, now you are able to connect to the data source over here. From your SQL Server, you established a connection to your data source. Okay, that is a blob storage. Then after, what we are going to do, the files what you are going to extract, what kind of file it is, you need to specify. What kind of file it is, you need to specify over here. That is nothing but external file format. You need to specify the external file format, because if you are not specifying the format of the file, how this is going to query the data? So then create a external file format over here. So simply go over here, create a external file format. The files what you are going to extract. Create external file format and give that name as a the external file format. You can give any name. I am going to give it as a eclassesfs. Alright, with file format type equal to delimited text. The formatted type is delimited text. And format options. The format options equal to, standard syntax. You don't need to worry about this. Field delimiter The field delimiter is a comma delimiter, right? We are separating the values inside with a comma. Done. Okay. The files what we are trying to extract is a comma delimited files. So that's what I have specified over here. Now coming over here, then final step is creating a table, external table. So I'm going to create a table over here. That table is going to access the table is going to access the table is going to access the files data whatever we have inside the data source what we created. Okay, you need to create an external table over here. The external table what you are going to create by using a data source, by using a file format. How to create a table? Create table, and what is the create table, external table, external external table. What is the name of the table you want to give? You can give any name, no problem. And the column names is, I'm going to make it as employee number integer and employee name varchar. Okay, and salary, so we have entered salary as well, integer data type, close it. And you need to specify this table is going to refer what is the data source. What is the data source you are going to refer? The data source I'm going to refer is this one. Where is the data source you created? E classes ds, right? And what is the, after the data source, what is the file format? External file format, file underscore format equal to, what is the name of the file format? E classes df. This is the one. Okay, and the location means folder. The folder is which folder you are going to access the data. The data I have in a folder, emp folder. Make sure the letters also, is it a caps or small, we have created. Done. So the reason why I have created the data source file formats and all those things is, when I'm creating an external table, that needs to be accessed from E classes ds, whatever the data source you created, and file format whatever you have created over here, and location is inside your container, in which folder you have created the, you have uploaded the files. My folder name is emp folder. Inside the emp folder I have the files. All right, that is the location I have specified. And file format is nothing but the files what you are going to read, under which format those are, you can specify that file format, E classes fs. And the data source is nothing but whatever the data source you have used over here. Okay, done. Then is it a data source, right? Salary. Okay, sorry, I forgot to keep comma. Now we can create this, and I forgot to keep comma. Done. So now we can create the external table. Execute it.
External table means syntax, no? Create external table means that is syntax, no? External table.
It's not external table. The meaning of external table means data is not existing in this table. The data will come into this table from outside when you are querying. It is just referring the data outside. That's the meaning of external table. Table will be created in your SQL Server only, but the table doesn't contain any data. It is just referring the data what we have inside another data sources what you created, the external data source what you created.
Like it is like one type of syntax, no? I mean, I understand it, but external, like create external table means it's a syntax, one type of. After that, you are giving table name, EMP. What is the table like we have created in that blob
That is the only
container? Yeah, yeah.
You need to specify just external and create a structure to
Sorry?
read the data, but this table where it is needs to get the data, that data source and file format, all things you need to specify here.
Okay, thank you.
So you can see the tables what you created under the particular database. So for example, I will go to the demo e classes. Under the demo e classes, you can see there is a external resources. You can see external data source whatever you created, and you can see whatever the external file format you created. Okay, and you can see under the tables the external table whatever you have created. External tables, EMP. Okay, I'm going to query the data finally. We'll see whether the query will execute and giving the data or not. Select star from EMP. Alright, so try to query. See here, two files data is coming. This is one file, this is another file. Okay, two files data we are getting. In a single shot, I'm able to query the data. So I performed the 5 steps. The first step is creating a master key by using this syntax. So in this case, the only thing you need to modify is whichever the password you want to give, you can. And coming to the next step, the stored credentials. Here, what you can give, whatever the name you want to give here, you can give. Whatever the name you want to give, you can give over here. But this secret key is different for your storage account. Go to your storage account. Under the storage account, there is a access keys. From this access keys, you can copy this key one and keep over here while you are practicing. Because you are creating your own storage account, right? That storage account you can put over here. That storage account secret key. Done. Only the things you need to change is this one, this name if you want, and this one, and this one. And coming to the external data source, then here you need to change this name if you want. And here you need to set up this one. What is your container name and what is your storage account name, that you need to replace. Then after, the credential is whatever the name you have given over here, you need to keep over here. So external data source has created. Now we need to create an external file format. Create external file format, and whatever the name you want to give, you can give over here, and everything is, you don't need to change anything over here. Then create a table structure. Create external table EMP, and the table structure you can specify the data source name and the external file format names, whatever you have given on the top, these names you need to specify. And then after, you need to provide the location, means folder name, in which folder your files are there inside that container. So I have few questions over here. I'm able to query the data. Select star from EMP. Can I do a modifications or update or deleting of the data to the whatever we have inside this table? No, because the data is not available inside this table, whatever the table you created, EMP table. The data, it is simply querying when you are select from here. You cannot perform any back operation, deleting or updating or anything you cannot perform over here. The data will not be modified. The data will not be updated. Okay, so that's the PolyBase technique. The PolyBase is only querying the data. It's not doing any back operation to your external data source. If you want to drop this table, you can drop like this. How to drop external table, whatever you created, drop external table, whatever the table name, EMP table. You can create as many external tables by referring the same files. There is no issue. Okay. Right. So if I want to recreate this table, you can execute and create the external table EMP. I have dropped and I'm going to recreate. So you can create multiple tables, EMP, EMP1, EMP2, EMP3 with the same structures as many tables. But the back operations you cannot perform over here. So I will share all this script, whatever I have, through the mail, or I'm just pinging in the chat. So you can take this script and you can able to replicate the same scenario on your machines. So I just pinged in the GoToMeeting chat. Please copy that.
Ram, in Blob, if you have different file format, not file format, the data in file, if it is different, then still we need to create the same table or different table.
Okay, so your question is, this SQL is going to query any kind of data or not? Am I right?
No.
Any kind of file.
In Blob, you have only EMP1, EMP2, EMP3, and all of them does have same data, same kind of data, isn't it?
Yeah.
If
But
it's
structure,
some other data, then
when you are trying to query the data, okay, the structure of the file should be same. Otherwise, then it will not.
in real time, do we maintain same structure of the data in all files or different structure?
Different structure. The file names might be different, but inside the order, the number of columns and the order of the column should be same. The data might be different, but the structure, metadata of the tables will be same.
And if we do have 10 tables in storage, we need to create the 10 times of this, whatever you had created just now.
10 tables, 10 files are different structure tables. Then definitely need to create 10 external tables.
Okay. And this is just to access the blob storage file data.
And also it will access the data lake as well.
Data lake as well.
Yes, because how you are storing the data inside a blob storage, you can store your files in the data lake also. So you can follow the same thing like for data lake as
well. Okay.
Ram,
but here we can.
sorry.
Yeah, you can go on.